It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Tuesday episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielsen, Gage, and Cass with you once again. As always, Two Guys and a Goalie podcast live stream brought to you by our great partners at CoolBet, where you can sign up for an account today and use the code 2GUYS, number 2 in the word guys, when you sign up. And a little extra something for you if you do that, courtesy of CoolBet and Two Guys and a Goalie. Cass, Gager, what's up, boys?
It's a sad day, but a good day. I'm a big Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul fan. And,
okay. I've heard great things about Better Call Saul.
It's phenomenal. It's funny because it's the way it works. It helps to be a Breaking Bad fan, I think, in some regard, but unbelievable cinematography. The writing's great. The characters are just awesome. Really sad because there's only one more. And you guys, I don't know, I was a massive Predator fan as a kid. That was just one of the best sci-fi alien movies all time with Arnold. The new one called Prey on Disney Plus. It is so good. Like all those other Predator movies I don't think they came close. The one or Aliens versus Predator was okay, but this one rivals Arnold and Apollo Creed.
Wow.
This one is phenomenal. A
lot of TV watching for you over the weekend, Gager.
This was last night. I just
last night.
It's just one night. I grabbed the kid.
I heard that Walter and Jesse pop up in Better Call Saul. Hey,
it's the parallel lines and how everything starts and the origin. Like, if you like origin stories of superheroes, you'll love this because you just see the progression of how everything happens. It's fantastic. I love it. So sad it's ending.
All right. Well, Cass, what about you, buddy? What do you get up to?
For part of the weekend, I was single guy, not even single dad. I was single guy.
What?
Yeah. So, my parents took the kiddos out to the cabin. So for Sunday, Monday, I was sans anybody in the household, which is, I think, the first time that has ever happened in the past 7 or 8 years. So yes. I was just like, what do single people do with their time? I'm like, I can just leave the house. I was like, I'm going to go to Home Depot and get a little paint roller to finish my one project to repair like a patch in the bathroom. And I did it.
Isn't it?
It's amazing. Did all the yard work, like pulled all the weeds, mowed the lawns, like trimmed and edged everything. It was, I got a lot done.
I just lay around if it ever happens. Like I swear, like I guess like for other parents, maybe it's not as crazy, but like to tell somebody who's single or, a married couple with no kids, I think I've been in my house by myself for more than like 2 hours, maybe 3 times in the last 8 years. Like it's insane when you get that quiet house to yourself. It's nuts. I'm on the verge though of both kids being in kindergarten and grade 1, so mornings will be quiet around here, and then I'm sure I'll be bitching that I'm sad that nobody's around. So yeah, that's wow. I hope you enjoyed those 2 days, Cass. It's probably going to be 3 years until you get it again, so that's
at least.
Yeah. All right, we got a few more really good debates coming up as we work our way through the franchise 32. I was looking ahead to the top 15, and it's going to be, relationships might end as we work our way through the top 15 of this list. But before we get there, Jonathan Huberdeau. When did this happen? Like last Thursday night, I guess. Yeah, it would have been Thursday night because I just got to Cranbrook, and I remember I was talking with my dad. I was like, rudely interrupted him and was like, "Hey, Huberdeau just signed. What do you think about this?" 8 years, $10.5 million. Cass, let's start with you, buddy. What do you think of the deal? What do you think of the Flames? Obviously, considering they gave up Tkachuk, there's a lot of pressure to get this thing done. Do you like how they ended up getting it done?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I think we all can look at this and know that the last 3 years of this deal, it's not going to be a great contract for them. But you had to get somebody. You lost Gaudreau. You were being forced in a lot of ways to trade Tkachuk, and you made the most of it. You really did. Like, you bring in an all-star player, one of the top players in the world, another 100-point guy, and now you locked him up. I didn't think they were going to be able to. So the fact that they did, pretty spectacular, I would say, by the Calgary Flames and their management to be able to get this thing done.
Gager, what do you think?
Well, when you look at it, were the last 3 years of the Johnny Gaudreau deal going to be good too? Like,
yeah, that's a good point when you look at it that way.
You know,
yeah.
when you kind of look at it that, but I love it. I think it's great. Obviously, they probably sent him straight to Banff and showed him where he's going to be spending his downtime. But no, just a solid player. I mean, obviously, you'd probably see him with Lindholm. They've replaced at least 100 points, and I think you put some skill and they need someone on that line that's going to replace Tkachuk. That's going to be very difficult, but I think you're going to see anyone with skill and that goes onto that line. You're probably looking at another 80-point player, and I've thought about, gosh, losing 100 points, that's tough, but the way that Sutter coaches, I think the Calgary D is a lot better, and they have Markstrom in goal. Man, I have a tough time. Like, I heard people saying Calgary's going to struggle this year, and I'm like, how is that even possible? The Oilers are going to be battling them for first in the Pacific, I think, all year.
Yeah, I don't see them struggling. I think that's still a pretty decent hockey team that they managed to put together and I guess keep together at this point. Overall, for getting Huberdeau signed is huge. I mean, they had to keep one of these guys for sure. Cass, do you view this trade now as a win for the Calgary Flames?
Oh yeah, without question, it's a win. Like, given what they had to work with, given the situation, it completely is a win. Huge win, I would say. Like, if you're a Calgary Flames fan, you have to be ecstatic that this is, given the situation, what you come out of it with. Huge win for them. Really, again, a fantastic job, I think, to salvage what could have completely put your organization in a lurch. Like, what if Huberdeau wouldn't have signed? And next year you'd be out another player like that. Like, you would be decimated as an organization. So I think this is a massive win.
Massive. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, if they can sign Uyghur too, that's even more. I think they've won this trade so far right now. I think just Huberdeau's. In my mind right now, I think they've won the trade. They're a leg up on the trade just because I think Huberdeau's got an element to his game of being such a creative player and making better players around him better. Tkachuk's an unbelievable player in his own right, but I think he's more on the complementary side, like adding a little bit of a different dimension with Barkov, right? So I'm interested to see how that dynamic works too. And like I said, it doesn't always work either. Like, just because you go, oh, these guys are top players, are going to be great together, there's got to be some sort of chemistry there too. So that's another thing. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the regular season if these puzzle pieces fit together.
I guess I'm going to be the odd man out here. Might as well start the debate early. I still think the Panthers win this deal. I mostly because they've got Tkachuk locked up for 24, 25, 26, 27, 20. Like, they've got Tkachuk in his prime. Huberdeau still, I mean, he's still a phenomenal player. I think both sides have actually done really well in this now. I mean, if I was forced to say who won it, I like the fact that they've got prime Tkachuk here moving forward. And, Huberdeau, I think it's natural. The guy's maybe, first 4 years of the deal, terrific. After that, we'll see. But if they can get Uyghur signed too, my opinion probably changes on that one. That'd be some fine work by the Calgary Flames. All right, let's get into the franchise 32. And let me just quickly run you through, if you're just listening, if you haven't watched either or listened to either of the first two episodes of the franchise 32, we're ranking the top 32 players in the league that we would want to start a franchise with today. We've got Robertson at 32, Barzal at 31, Suzuki at 30, Zegras at 29, Ekblad at 28, Hughes, that's Quinn Hughes at 27, Pettersson at 26, Owen Power at 25, Rasmus Dahlin at 24, Kyle Connor at 23, Roman Josi at 22, and Nikita Kucherov at 21. Today we go from 20 to 16 They are as follows. Heiskanen at 16. Connor Hellebuyck, the first of 3 goaltenders on this list at 17. Mitch Marner at 18. Rantanen at 19. And Sir Thomas Chabot at 20. And Cass, you're already shaking your head. What are you possibly already shaking your head about here?
How Chabot's at 20.
And not higher.
How is he not, like, all you guys last time, oh, the age and this and that. I don't like this guy because of the age and this, and he's too old. And the guy's a franchise level defenseman who has played on a horrible team that has had no support whatsoever. And you have him rated 20th? Guys.
I think he's only at 20 because you have him so high.
I know. Well, I know that's the thing, is I know where I had him. And so to sit here and to say
12. Gager didn't have him on the list, and I had him at 23. So that's
Gager,
how this sorts out.
Walk me through how you didn't have him on your list.
He sucked in Florida. I mean, if there was a chance for him to I know he played really well, and I just wanted more from him in the playoffs. I thought that, oh my God, here go the Panthers. And he disappointed.
Wait a second. Who are we talking about here? We're talking about the defenseman.
Chabot. Oh, never mind. I was thinking of someone else. Ottawa guy.
Like, what are
Jesus.
you talking about? Ottawa defenseman.
I was so confused.
I'm
Me
confused.
too. I was like, who's he ripping? You
Sorry,
better
I
not
was
have been
ripping
talking
someone
about
else.
Barkov, because I'm going to be.
No, I wasn't talking about Barkov.
Okay.
I was thinking I was
All right.
totally messed up there.
Ekblad again, wasn't he? All right, anyway, so I had him at 23.
Chabot.
Cass had him at 12, and Gager, you didn't have Thomas Chabot on your list.
Yeah, I didn't have him on my list. Now I can see you're kind of, Cass, I can see where you're coming from. But again, just looking at the past, I thought he would take a bit bigger of a step. He's a really good young defenseman, but I don't know. I think there's a lot better players out there than him to start my franchise.
Cass,
I've
can I
seen
tell
enough.
you why I had him at 23? And I think this might just be the stigma of being on that Sens team for a little too long. And not too long, like, it's not like he's been there for 9 years, but he was kind of, they brought in all these forwards since, but he was the first piece, right? Like, he was the guy, you're like, okay, this guy's a stud, he's going to turn him around. And, you're not going to do that all by yourself, and maybe you start to see it a little bit more. But he had 55 points 3 years ago, and since then it's been 39 and 71. Had 38 and 59 this year, and then the shortened season he had 31 and 49. So I guess I thought he would have been better by now than he is. Maybe you can speak to the fact that it's the Sens that are bringing him down. And I guess my reply would be, well, maybe a truly elite franchise defenseman should have elevated them by now.
It truly.
Well, I mean, they
so
sucked this entire time. There.
we have experience here at Edmonton with what has been dubbed and quite frequently spoken of the decade of darkness. and you had some good players come in, and you had some pieces come in, but if they don't stay here, and if they just leave, you're not going to win. With a minuscule internal salary cap, a team that just pushed out good players, that traded away good players in Ottawa, they had 1 or 2 good young pieces come in, but they have been nowhere near ready to actually win. So if the organization would have done a better job supporting him earlier on, then absolutely, I think we would have seen a massive progression from him. But he just hasn't had the support. He has not had the support. Now, it'll be interesting. You guys watch this year where they've actually gone out and spent a little bit of money or brought some players in. They brought a couple better forwards in. That this Sens team, I think, is all of a sudden going to start to surprise some people now. But yeah, he's one of the
blue line though. Like outside of him, I don't love a lot of pieces on that blue line. I know their forward group's going to be ridiculous. But
their forward group's going to be ridiculous.
He's going to have too much pressure to be 28 minutes a night on that blue line.
But he's played. So I got to pull up. I want to see how many minutes he's averaged.
I'll just say, the thing why I probably left him off my list mostly is during the bubble season, and I went to a few of the Ottawa games, and he looked phenomenal. I was like, wow. I think I talked about him on the podcast a few times, how great he was. Yeah. And I think that there was just seeing, I thought there was going to be that next step and that young team in Ottawa and the way that they finished 2 years ago. I thought we would see, and maybe it was a case of him maybe playing too much or trying to do too much, but he left me wanting to see a lot more and probably be in that conversation of being one of the best D-men in the league. And you just didn't hear that much last year.
Played over 26 minutes a game last year, Cass. That's a pretty big chunk.
I was just trying to pull it up.
Heavy roll. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he should be better than he is by now.
Because he's played in Ottawa. That's because he's playing in Ottawa.
It's a fair discussion. It's a fair discussion. All right. So we'll get to the other defensemen on this list at the top of it. Let's group these two forwards together next. We've got Rantanen at 19, and we've got Mitch Marner at 18. And Cass, I do believe you were the lowest of all of us on Mitch Marner. He barely made your list. So are you surprised to see him at 18?
I'm a little surprised. I know you guys are two Toronto lovers, so it doesn't, I guess I'm not that surprised. But it's higher than I'd pick him. I understand why people would put him there.
Why though? Like why? What do you not like about Mitch Marner?
There's nothing I don't like about him. He's a complimentary player.
Okay.
That's my take. He's a complimentary player. Really, really good. That's why I still had him in there. Like I still would take him in my top 32. I think I had him 31.
I think he's
but he's a complimentary player. Can he drive a line like Draisaitl does? Can he drive a line like McKinnon does?
He's got 455 points in 416 games in his career.
Yeah. I mean, how many of those have been played with Austin Matthews? How many of those have been played with Austin Matthews?
He's got more points than Austin Matthews those times.
Right.
Like this.
How many of those came from feeding Matthews the puck is what I'm saying. If he doesn't have Matthews, if he doesn't have like that grade A plus one of the best players in the world shooter on his line, is he actually going to be able to produce at that rate? He's a really good player. Oh, yeah, he definitely does. Of course, he makes Matthews a little better. He's a great player. I'm not saying he's not a great player. He's a great player. I would take him on my team in a heartbeat. I think he's a complimentary player, not a franchise starting player. He's the guy. It's like if you bring it in when we get to the top guys on the list. It's like if you bring in one of those top guys, he's right up there at the top of guys I'm bringing in next. To me, like he's the second guy you look to bring in. Like if you bring in your piece number one, he's piece number two.
Yeah, I agree with Cass. I had him at what did I have him at? 22. He's a piece of the puzzle. He's not the border at all. I think Matthews makes him a better player. Just they work well together. But if you, like Cass said, if you remove Matthews and you look when they're not together, there's not I don't think they produce or are able to dominate as well as apart from when they're together. So it's definitely a piece of the puzzle, but not a main piece.
It's an interesting spot for both of these guys to be back to back here because they both ride shotgun with some very good talent. Because we got Rantanen right there. I don't know if Rantanen even made your list, Cass. And Marner was
for the same reason.
You would take Marner ahead of Rantanen?
I would take Marner ahead of Rantanen. Yep. Yeah, but I would do that, I think, partially from injury issues and injury history with Rantanen, where he's had some injury troubles at times, and that's what pulled him out of that. Because I hummed and hawed, like even at the bottom of my list, like where JT Miller was, like of slotting Rantanen in there, because he is a really, really good player, fun to watch, great player. That I was like, oh, there are some injury questions I have there. And then to me, he does fall into that same complementary player category where I'm just like, okay, that probably lowers him down a few. For me, where I didn't have him on my list.
I think I'd have Rantanen even higher on the list. I think he was probably right in this range of mine. Gager, you had Rantanen.
I had
Marner.
I had him at 18. I had him at 18. I just think that his size, speed,
19. I think
he's got that sledge, the ability to beat goalies from distance, and there's a physical aspect to his game that's just that Mitch Marner doesn't have. I don't think there's something that in the crunch time that he can provide that, and we saw it. Like he struggled in the playoffs too. I think for a little bit until he got things going right. So, yeah, I have all the time in the world for Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah, I think if it came down to it, somebody said you can only have one. I think I take Rantanen ahead of Marner, but I do think they belong in this same sort of window here. That leads us to number 17 on our franchise list, Connor Hellebuyck, the first of 2 or 3 goalies. There's 2 goalies who are higher than him. You don't have to be a genius to know who those 2 would be. One of them, of course, is not Thatcher Demko. Gager, you're the goalie on this podcast. Your thoughts on Connor Hellebuyck coming in at 17?
This is way, way too high for him.
Way too high.
He should be lower. He should be lower than this. This is ridiculous to have him.
So you're talking like top 10.
Yeah,
like higher on the list. You're saying like higher up on the list. Okay.
Higher on the list. He should be top 10 for sure. This guy.
He was on all 3 of our lists. He did make all 3.
He would, like, if you look at the way that he plays and the calmness that he provides for the defensive core, he's a fantastic goalie. He's top 3 in the league. Starting off a team and not having to worry about goaltending, and a guy that can consistently play 60 to 65 games, it's a joke that he's at 17.
So what do you think he should be, like, higher on the list? Like
top
better?
10.
Had him in top 10. He had him in top 10.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's not. I mean, I had him at 22.
Yeah, and I think I had him somewhere in between.
Yeah, I had 22.
I had him 17. So I actually had him pretty much right where. Oh no.
Is this your list, Dusty? Are we just going over your list?
No, but my list is right next to the other list, and I scroll over and I can't. No, I had him 20th. Hellebuyck was 20th on my list. Yeah. But I think it's a pretty clear cut that he's the number 3 guy. I do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, which is where he slots in, and this is where it kind of in that range I would look to take a goalie. I wouldn't, there's the other 2 guys we'll get to later, but for Hellebuyck, where I'm just like, he is a guy that can win you games. He can win a series. It's important that he's on the list, but there's just so many other guys I would look at in front of him, Gage. I just can't for Connor Hellebuyck. And how old is he now? Remind me, I can't remember off the top of my head.
He's got to be a little bit older now. I can look that up.
Yeah, isn't he?
I'll tell you right now.
He's right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, he is. He's 29. Yep, 29.
Yeah.
So we have the age issue again here.
What age issue? You're perfect as a goalie.
There's not a lot.
That's when you're hitting your stride.
How many old goalies have won the cup? How many old goalies have won the cup recently?
How long do we have, Dusty?
Jeez. Well, Darcy Kemper just won it.
Darcy Kemper just won it.
Okay, but Darcy Kemper in 5 years, 32. Is he going to win it?
He's 32.
So do you expect him to win it at 37? Or 35? Like, I mean, I don't know. I just
Vasilevsky's 28. Would you? Yeah. Like,
I would take him. I would take him before Hellebuyck. He's on my list.
Well, obviously, but I don't think you would take both for the next 5 years easily.
Yeah, that's why he deserves to be on this list. I'm just saying I wouldn't have him in my top 10.
Okay.
All right, maybe this is a guy we can all agree on. Number 16 on the list is Heiskanen. I think he was in. Yeah, he was on all of our. He was on all of our lists. He might be the last guy. No, yeah, he's on all of our lists. So, Cash, you had him at 11. You were the high guy on Heiskanen, so you go first here, buddy. What do you think of him?
Yeah, to me, he's a defenseman that does it all. Same thing. He's a cornerstone guy that can, if you need to, give you 25 to 30 minutes a night. He's got offensive skills. He can play defense too. He's an all-around stud D to me. Like he's going to be good, and he's young. So if I'm looking for a cornerstone defenseman that's going to be really good for a long period of time, he's absolutely high on my list. I think he's a spectacular defenseman, a ton of fun to watch. Going to be a cornerstone in that Dallas organization, and yeah, he's high on my list. He's a stud.
I had him at 27. He's unbelievable. The only thing he's one of those rover defensemen. Like you look, and all of a sudden he's below the
and he hasn't
goal
put up
line.
huge numbers yet either. I'm wondering where that offense, like, does he? Is
Well,
he
he's
a
playing in
55, 60
Dallas.
point guy? Well, I
Look
know
at the
that.
Dallas system. Dallas
that's
was a
true.
defense first team, not a high powered
So what, is
offensive
he
punch
getting
in the
Scott
mouth. type of
Niedermayered
group.
here? Is that what's happening?
I think so.
Could be a little bit. See what happens this year. New coach, and letting guys loose a little bit. I think it would be nice to see. But seeing him in the playoffs against Calgary, like there were shifts where he dominated and had the puck all over the ice. But yeah, it's a little bit too high for me, just because of the, like you mentioned, Dusty, the production, and I just worry about the other side of the puck with his game. It's good, but I think it could be a little bit better.
I'm just looking here. There are 5 defensemen ahead of him on this list. That's it. So when we're talking about franchise defensemen, 6 D-men, he's number 6 on that list. Cass is looking at his list.
Not Roman Yossi. Yeah, Roman Yossi's not above him.
Yeah, but I'd rather
tell
take
you that much
Heiskanen
right
than
now.
Roman Yossi if we're building a franchise starting today. I know you're going to shake your head. That's why it's so fun. I love it. Wait until we get to the top 5. You think we'll have to see how that top 5 plays out. But the next 5, which we'll get to later in the week, 4 forwards and 1 defenseman. No, never mind. That's my list again. A D-man, 3 forwards, and a goalie on the next 5 spots. So that'll be pretty good as well, and we'll get to that. Once again, if you want to chime in, just tweet at us with your franchise 32 as well. Today we get 16 through 20. Heiskanen, Hellebuyck, Marner, Rantanen, and a very, very good debate around a defenseman in Ottawa with Thomas Chabot on what he's able to do so far. I feel like he should be better than he is right now, and maybe Cass
Watch
is
this
right.
year, guys.
Ottawa gets better.
Watch this year.
He puts up 55 points, plays a ton, and gets himself into Norris Trophy consideration. Who knows?
You know what's going to happen is I feel like he's one of the ones on this list that has the biggest potential to either move up or move down.
Okay.
After the season, because he's got now I would say a better team around him.
This group, or
Either
just
hits now or where he just kind of stays where he is.
Yeah, fair enough.
It'll be cool to watch and see what he does with that Ottawa team, because they are significantly better. Their top 6 is
good.
I would say, what do you think? Like top 5 exciting most?
It's top 10 in the league for sure, in my opinion. Without like a justification on it, I think it should be good. And if they are going to, they got Talbot net. If they're going to be a playoff team, he's going to have to be excellent on the blue line. So no more excuses for Cass's baby boy here. And we'll see what happens this upcoming season. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of the Franchise 32 here on Two Guys and a Goalie. Tell your friends about the podcast. Make sure they subscribe as well. And we will continue to break this down a little bit later in the week. Talk to you later, boys.
Later, boys.